Now, this was the marquee matchup. This was college game day. They went to Lubbock and Texas Tech, and we were kind of hoping that this one would be a better game. Now, going into this, Texas Tech has kind of turned other people's stadiums into their own. They went on the road at Utah earlier this year, and especially in the fourth quarter with their backup, they decimated them. And now they came back, and they were in their own stadium against BYU. I believe BYU was ranked 8th, Texas Tech was 9th when they played. And Texas Tech, they just walloped them. BYU didn't look prepared for this. Texas Tech was debuting some very cool uniforms, I should say, and they end up winning 29-7. And Jack, with Baron Morton on the field, they're undefeated. So Texas Tech looked very promising and look possibly a shoe-in for the college football playoff. They certainly have a great path to the Big 12 championship, better than anybody. So Texas Tech has got a great future. Tough loss for BYU, but it's only their first one. Both teams got great futures this year, Jack.
Yeah, they really do. And that Arizona State loss is really just an outlier for them. Arizona State's a great team when Leavitt is healthy.
Right.
But when Baron Morton is healthy, it's like this team is a different team. I know Hammond's out for the year, but Morton really just transforms this team into just insane. Like BYU had some struggles in the last couple of games, like with the Colorado, especially the Iowa State game and the Utah one in the Holy War. But like they won all those games in convincing fashion, especially the Iowa State game with being like down most of that game. So very impressive that one, but just I was surprised just how like in control Texas Tech was of this game because they didn't have a point most of the game. It was not until like the third or fourth quarter where BYU finally scored their first points.
Right,
and they just had complete right. And you kind of agree with that because undefeated. They both had wins against Utah and undefeated in conference play too. But
the Arizona State lost for Texas Tech, so that's the only reason why they're really ahead.
Right.
I know Texas Tech has looked better, but BYU had looked solid. This one they just weren't ready for it, and going into a really tough environment with a Texas Tech team that was certainly at full strength. But the good news for BYU is they beat Utah. Like they won the Holy War. Utah's kind of that third team in the Big 12. They're kind of just hoping for BYU or Texas Tech to kind of slip up so they can maybe squeak in because they don't control their own destiny really in getting to the playoff. Now, I thought their number 15 ranking for Utah was pretty generous. They should be pretty happy about that. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to get passed by them or Cincinnati, you just win out BYU. You control your own destiny. You got TCU at home. And then when you go on the road at number 22 Cincinnati, that could be a tough one. And then you host UCF. Honestly, these next two games for BYU are still pretty tough, but they still control their destiny, which a lot of teams can't say at this point in the year. So it was huge to still be undefeated. And like you said, they were close with Colorado. They had some tough outings where they managed to get a win. So now they're sitting in this situation where I don't know if you could say that they could drop a game, but drop a game and make it to the Big 12 championship and still have a chance for a playoff berth. So it was huge to have that kind of start that they did. I think it was just a tough matchup with Texas Tech, Jack, because when they're at full strength, they're tough to stop.
They really are. And the Big 12's just really great this year. I think even better than last year and could possibly get multiple teams. It's a lot different from last year because Iowa State and Arizona State made it to the championship. I think it's probably going to be either Utah, Texas Tech or Texas Tech, BYU again. And just great teams in there. You could even say Cincy's one of those teams. But they did kind of lay a goose egg against Utah. I just think Utah's just a really hot team, and they're kind of peaking at the perfect moment right now. If they get a bid in the college football playoff, I think they could really make damage.
Right.
Because they just are really, everything's clicking on all cylinders. So they're just such a great team. But Big 12's, this is what we thought the ACC would be this year.
Right.
Is what the Big 12 is this year. So then we'll get into all that. But really great league. And I hope we get multiple teams. I mean, we should get. I hope Brigham Young should make it in, and Texas Tech. I think number 6 is a fair placement. I think that top 6 is pretty accurate to me. But yeah, Texas Tech, such a great team, and this is a very dominant win. And there really has every single one of their wins has been dominant. The only one that's been kind of close is their loss to Arizona State. So yeah, very interesting.
Right. And the Big 12 is so interesting. And with Utah, Kyle Whittingham could be his last season. Not too sure if that's really going to be his last one, but who knows? But those guys are going to really play their hearts out for him because any season of his could be his last. He's been there for a long time with the longer tenured coaches up there with guys like Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, which we'll get into later. But the Big 12 is really interesting. And this was kind of like a mid-season Big 12 championship where I was like, these are the top two teams. Like, one of these teams will probably come away with the Big 12 title. I would be surprised if it wasn't. And at this point, I'd be surprised if it wasn't Texas Tech. Because you look at the top three, it's BYU, it's Utah. What did Texas Tech do to those teams, Jack? They flattened them. So Texas Tech has kind of separated themselves, and they've kind of made themselves the front runner in that conference. So the Big 12, it's really going to kind of come down to the wire, but BYU can't slip up. You beat TCU this week, then you beat Cincinnati, and you're in. Big 12, going to be really interesting. Possible that they get three teams, Jack? I mean, Texas Tech, BYU, and then, I mean, Utah doesn't have to go up that far to get in, Jack.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when the first rankings dropped that Utah was that high, and now they're still top 15 team, which I love that. I love that they're actually getting some respect this year. And if they got three teams, I think they would definitely make some damage. I think these two teams are just so well coached, just a great team around them, and I think they could at least get a couple wins in there.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think the Big 12, they have to be really happy, Jack, about how the CFP is treating them. I think they have to feel really great about it because you're talking about a Big 12 team. It was considered like the orphanage of college football. It's like they got Pac-12 teams. They get like teams like Houston and, you know, teams of that nature. UCF elevated from the group of five as they lose their blue chip in Texas. And since as they lose Texas and Oklahoma, that were kind of their blue chips. But they have to feel pretty good about it because it felt like, going into the season, all the narratives were just like, they're Power 4, but like, are they though? Like, it's pretty much just a Power 3. Now, all of a sudden, the ACC is struggling to get one team in. Like, they might not get one. That's crazy to think about.
It's crazy.
I know. And you really got to appreciate it because the AP definitely doesn't treat the Big 12 as the CFP does because, like, Texas Tech is number 6. Now, when you look at the CFP rankings, I agree with it. I think that might be as high as they could go. So I appreciate them getting their due there, and they didn't drop BYU. I mean, BYU's at 12, Utah's at 13. Like Texas Tech, BYU, and Utah, Jack, they're ranked above any ACC team, any of them.
Right.
So maybe we should stop the narrative that the Big 12 isn't good, and it's like, oh, that's just where teams go when they can't find a conference. Like, maybe that is true, but you know what? That was really smart of them by rebuilding like that because you saw what kind of happened where the Pac-12 didn't have a backup plan when all their teams left. Everyone just said, we're out of here. Really smart move by the Big 12 to rebound like that. And it's really nice that they're having a great season. And I think they really got to be happy about how the CFP is treating them. And the Big 12 could really come to the wire as who knows, we'll see. But it was kind of like going into the season, they'll just get one team and then, they're not going to get in that large. But now all of a sudden they have a chance for three teams. The Big 12 is pretty deep and we'll see how many end up in that college football playoff.